morning.
Good
morning. When all else fails, we use the subtle approach. So before I sound the Tibetan bowl this morning, I just wanted to give you a little bit of information, because we do this a lot, but we don't often talk about what we're doing or what this is. And very simply, a Tibetan bowl, which is the name that these go by, or perhaps a singing bowl, is a kind of a bell. It is crafted as a bell, but an inverted one. So it's often used in leading chants or prayers or guiding meditation, or it is also used, even after it has been used for meditation, as the bowl in which a monk receives their daily food from the people in the surrounding community. So it is a multi-purpose tool. We use it to call ourselves together. So there you go. I want you to be able, Carol has used one that's hers several times recently. The one that was here in the sanctuary has disappeared rather magically, but she has one, I have one, I know a number of you have one. So we do not lack for singing bowls, but I wanted you to know what this was. We are using it today specifically because we are focused on Bodhi Day, which is the anniversary of the Buddha's enlightenment. And we'll just let people get in. But I want to sound this one so you can hear the difference. If you were here last week, you heard one. They are very different in tone and actually can be played in sequence to get a more complex melody. But the sound is designed to call us together, and if you don't actually stop the vibration, it will just continue to vibrate for quite some time, which is a way of powering down your mind. So you start with louder sounds. I can still hear it, yes. And you can also get it so that is our Tibetan bowl.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist West Side Congregation in Rio Rancho. Whether you are here in our sanctuary or joining us later online, we are glad that you are here. I'm Dana Sanford, Service Associate for today. Our speaker is Reverend Dr. Nancy Hitt, our Consulting Minister. Today's program is entitled Bodhi Day, Are We There Yet? We will be exploring the Buddhist holiday that celebrates the anniversary of the enlightenment of Gautama Buddha and applying some of the insights we gather to our own spiritual journey. Our program today is founded on Source 3, Wisdom for the World's Religions, which inspire us in our ethical and spiritual life. We hope you feel enriched in your journey through your experience here today. If you are visiting with us for the first time, we invite you to connect with us both here in our sanctuary and online. Reverend Nancy's contact info is on the back of our bulletin. If you are here on site, it is also on our website, UUWC.org. Please ask questions of her or anyone here today. We'd love to get to know you. Our thanks today to Steve Boyani, our videographer, to Carol Eaglehart, our music leader, and to Bram and Roxy Castek, our greeters. They make our experience work better together. And here are the announcements. If you are interested in singing in our special Christmas choir, please let Carol Eaglehart know. We are considering either or both Christmas Eve and Sunday, December 27th for special music. If you are interested in decorating our sanctuary, please let Reverend Nancy know. Last year's pandemic lockdown interrupted our usual schedule for many seasonal activities. This year we're trying to figure out what to pick up and what to let go of. Please let her know what you think and help us with our discernment process. Rio the dog needs your newspapers. Her bin is outside the social hall door. And we also need coffee and decaf. We will be desperate if we do not get it soon. I will be desperate. Is there anything else that needs to be brought to the attention of the congregation at this time? Yes, Melinda.
We do have a 5th Sunday coming up in January, and we don't have anyone on the cleaning team assigned to straighten up that week. If anyone can pick that up anytime during the week before the 5th Sunday of January, let me know.
All right. Cleaning team needs somebody for the 5th Sunday in January. Okay. Thank you.
Please stand as you are able now and join me in lighting our chalice. The words are in your bulletin. May our chalice flames show us the path to truth, to kindness, to generosity, and to freedom. Shalom. Please join me in affirming our aspirations. Life is a gift. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Shalom. Now, if you would please get your hymnal and open it to number 188. Carol will lead us in Come, Come, Whoever You Are. Number 188.
Go, Carol.
Hey, we know this one, yes?
Yes.
Let's get this caravan going here.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Okay, you want to try it as a round?
Yes.
Okay, I hear a yes. Okay, this group's going to start. We're going to sing Come, Come, Wherever You Are, and then this group is going to chime in with Come, Come, Wherever You Are. Okay, here we go.
Come, come, wherever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is the caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is the caravan
Please be seated. I invite you now to enter together into a moment for centering. I will walk us through just a beginning of the relaxing as a group, and then I invite you to let the music take you wherever it will. So sit back against your pew, uncross your ankles, your knees, your wrists. Breathe fully and deeply. Close your eyes if you are comfortable doing so, or find a focal point. Let your mind go blank, and let the music take you where it will. Let your attention begin to refocus in the here and now. And when you are ready, open your eyes. Shalom. Always, there are joys and concerns among us that we share with each other, knowing that our joys will be magnified and our concerns supported in our community. We will share any that are in the basket, but I think it's clear at the moment. So we will offer the mic as needed. If you are viewing this online, we invite you to light any personal candles you may have as we light our last one here. We will be lighting a candle for each joy and each concern.
I have a joy because my daughter from New York is visiting.
I have a joy. My husband and I are leaving next Sunday, actually. It's also sad because I'm leaving you all. But we're flying east to be with family, to see both sides of our family and a friend of mine who I haven't seen in 40 years, but who I've known since I've been 3. And we're going to New York to have some fun.
I have a joy. Roxy and I are very excited. We are going to Las Vegas to see a concert in March, and it's the first time I'm going away with the pain pump, so I had to find out from the manufacturer how I can fly, and you actually put it on airplane mode.
The Cranes are back in my neighborhood in Paradise Hills. They're there every year. They fly in, they fly out. It's wonderful. I'm back here with my new hearing aids, which I've resisted forever. Not because I don't have hearing loss, I do. Supervising noisy playgrounds for decades will do it. Not because I couldn't afford it, I could, but because I knew I'd lose them. But now, there's this little thing that's attached. Changed my life. That little thing changed my life. And so I'm audiology assisted hearing aids for exactly what I need. I can hear you all. But what's fascinating is I've been suffering with eustachian tubes dysfunction, total blockage. Everything is muffled. My life has been miserable. They say it'll last for months. Nothing you can do about it. Everybody's wearing masks, and I have hearing loss. So my life has been triple buffled, and I haven't just even wanted to be here or anywhere. My life has changed. Thank you for being here. This is a wonderful program. I'm happy to be back.
All right, all right.
I'll start in the back and work my way up. This area.
I decorate the Christmas tree, and I have Tracy. It's been a long day, and it was Ina's birthday last year.
Hey, you have a Christmas tree up at home? Wow.
Oh, decorated.
Oh, it was your birthday. Happy. Don't you? Yep. Melinda?
I know we need the rain, but I am so enjoying this extension of early, beautiful fall weather. It's just improved my mood so much.
I'll take that. I have something that might be a joy or a concern. There's only 20 shopping days left till Christmas.
I have a concern. A friend of mine from out in New Jersey recently lost her husband to COVID and pneumonia-related complications, and she is really, really struggling. She also suffers from depression, and she is isolating as well.
Hi everyone. My joy is to be here to meet the people who allow us to put our packets together for Feed Rio Rancho Kids. We really appreciate your support of this program. Dear to my heart, tears in my eyes. But anyway, nice to meet y'all, and thanks for your support of our program, and I hope to see you some more. I'm going to try to sing with Carol sometime. Not a solo, but I'm excited.
And you folks are going to need to stop thanking us because we've adopted this. This is our program too, and we have responsibilities. So it's not like you're thanking a guest for being gracious or a host or whatever. This is a team effort.
Yes, it is. That's why it works.
Yes, absolutely. Anyone or anything else? All right, then let's light one last candle for all that we still hold in the privacy of our own hearts and minds. And you need the long match, Dana? Our red candle. We light our red candle in witness against racial violence. Right? Oh. For all those who have died, for those who still live the struggle with racial oppression and violence, we still stand in solidarity. Shalom. And now I'd like to invite Grand Cass Heck to come share our animal ministry moment with us.
Right.
Always sleep on it. It'll look better in the morning. Just as we chase our tails, we often chase our problems around and around, never getting anywhere but dizzy. When things get to be too much, stop what you're doing, put it aside, and try again another time. To be refreshed is to be refocused. Now this is a Dalmatian dog named Jewel, and Jewel says, "Dear Sprinklerhead, first of all, I respect you as I respect all adversaries. Sprinklerhead is second only to vacuum cleaner in terms of ferocity. No matter how hard I bite Sprinklerhead's stream of water, Sprinklerhead keeps turning and sprinkling. My owner says I'm a dumb doggy, that I can never figure out Sprinklerhead's tactics, but she underestimates me. I'm always surprised when Sprinklerhead pops out of the ground. Sprinklerhead waits till I'm stuck in crouching position knowing I'm vulnerable for attack, then pops out of the ground, and Sprinklerhead does business on me while I do business on the lawn. But we're not finished, Sprinklerhead. One day I will bite your stream of water just right, and you will shut off and retreat, knowing that I have victoriously defended myself against the irrigation system.
Okay, so here is our moment for all ages. I'm going to tell you some little stories, so Miss Adia, listen closely, because I'm going to tell you about what Buddhist monks, and you probably don't even know what that is, but what they do all day in their monastery. So what is a day in the life of a Buddhist monk like? First off, we need to know that Buddhism originated as a renunciant tradition, as in they renounced the world, practiced by ascetics who had departed from ordinary life. According to Buddhist tradition, an order of monks and nuns was founded by Gautama Buddha during his lifetime between the 5th and 4th centuries BCE, when he accepted a group of fellow renunciants as his followers. The Buddhist monastic lifestyle grew out of the lifestyle of earlier groups of wandering ascetics, some of whom the Buddha had studied with. This lifestyle was not necessarily isolationist. The monks were dependent on the lay community for basic provisions of food and clothing, and in return, the monks helped guide lay followers on the path of Dharma. Individuals or small groups of monks, a teacher and his students, or several monks who were friends, often traveled together, living on the outskirts of local communities and practicing meditation in the forests. Monks and nuns were expected to live with a minimum of possessions, which were to be voluntarily provided by the lay community. Lay followers also provided the daily food that monks required and provided shelter for the monks when that was needed. Today, the life of Buddhist monks is laid out in such a way that it helps them to increase in mindfulness and wisdom. Buddhist monks are not allowed to have any personal means of support, so they need to seek alms which make them contemplate and understand the things that are really necessary for life. Now, Adia, what time did you wake up this morning? Do you know?
I went up at 2.
She said she woke up at 2, which she did, but then she also woke up at 6.
Okay then, you might make a good Buddhist monk. They wake up at 4 every day. And when they wake up, they meditate for an hour. And then they chant for the next hour. Now by 6, when you got up for the day, Adia, the monks took a walk in their neighborhood barefoot. At this time, local people offer them food, which is known as receiving alms. After collecting alms, they return and pray in the building which contains the main Buddha image for their monastery while the food is being prepared. Adia, do you know what time you had breakfast?
I have it at 6.
You had it at 6. Well, you beat the monks then. At 8 a.m., a monk hits a gong several times, indicating that the food has been cooked and it's time to eat. The monks sit together, and the food tray is brought to the elder monk. Everyone prays and performs a ritual gesture, the closing of the hands together and lowering the body to the ground 3 times. I would say it, but it's considered an impolite word in English, and I don't want the youngest one of us to pick it up and go proudly from church repeating it. So just take my word for it. At any rate, this is a ritual gesture. They repeat this 3 times, and then they start having their meal. Now the monks eat a little bit of each plate so that each person who had offered food can receive some merit for the meal. After finishing breakfast, they make a blessing for world peace. Now the second and last meal of the day is eaten before noon. At 11:30 a.m., monks enter the sala and eat the food that is left over from the first meal. Before sitting to eat, monks pray toward the Buddha statue in the sala. While they eat, 2 monks each share 1 tray. At 1 in the afternoon, they go to school. They go to school to study Dharma, and they study until 6 p.m. Monks who do not study meditate in the afternoon. At 3 p.m., they do laundry and clean the temple. Some things never change, no matter where you are. You have to wash the clothes and do the cleaning. At 6 p.m. in the evening, the monks pray again for 2 hours in the building which contains the primary Buddha image. And at 8 o'clock at night, Adia, what time is bedtime? I can't hear her, so.
Yeah, we try for 9, it's usually about 11.
Okay then. Maybe she's not cut out to be a monk, because they go to bed at 8 o'clock and retire to either do homework and then to go to sleep when that is done. Now, besides these routine times of the day and duties that go with each hour, the monks are also given specific duties for the proper running and maintenance of the temple and its surroundings. Cooking and cleaning are shared chores. Since there is no single or central source of authority in Buddhism, there are many varieties of style for the different groups of monks and nuns. This is one common example, but there are many, many, many variations on a theme. So that is the story of a day in the life of a Buddhist monk.
Like the Buddhist monks, our community is dependent on the gifts of others for its survival. We are in fact dependent on each other. Reminding ourselves of this helps us to remember that each one of us is vitally important and that our life together depends on each person. Thank you for all your contributions to our community. And now we will sing from UUWC.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
Now, if you would take your hymnal and open to number 595, I'm going to ask us to stand as we are able and join in reading Free from Suffering together. Number 595. And you will notice at the bottom that these are the Bodhisattva vows. May all sentient beings be well and enjoy the root of happiness, free from suffering and the root of suffering. May they not be separated from the joy beyond sorrow. May they dwell in spacious equanimity, free from craving, fear, and ignorance. Please be seated. So as I mentioned, Bodhi Day, which is actually midweek this week on the 8th, is a day of celebration, celebrating the anniversary of the day that Gautama Buddha achieved his enlightenment. Now this occurred over 2,500 years ago, which makes for a bit of confusion about the exact timeline of events. They just didn't keep records the same way back in the day. As a result, the day has a fixed date of December 8th in Japan. Now, this is often known as the secular Bodhi Day. In other Buddhist countries, Bodhi Day is a lunar holiday that changes its secular calendar date in keeping with the cycles of the moon. The next lunar Bodhi Day is January 10th of this coming year, 2022. In 2017, the lunar Bodhi Day coincided with Christmas, so you can see how it ranges in its cycle. Regardless of the actual calendar date, the holiday has the same purpose of calling to mind the example set by Gautama Buddha in seeking and achieving enlightenment. As such, Buddhists reaffirm confidence, empathy, and consideration toward fellow humans, and spend at least a part of the day in prayer to bless others. The day is often marked by drinking tea and eating rice. Not that those are not customary daily activities anyway, but on Bodhi Day, they are intentional reminders of how the Buddha ate and drank. Some families decorate a tree, a ficus religiosa, which, yes, it is exactly what it sounds like. That would be a religious fig tree, inside their homes with decorations to symbolize the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path that the Buddha taught as the means to enlightenment and the end of suffering. And here is where we need to acknowledge that it is absolutely impossible to do justice to the multifaceted complexity of all of the strains and stories of Buddhism in a single 20-minute sermon. There are 3 major groups of Buddhists, and within each of those groups, there are a whole lot more. As I mentioned before, Buddhism has no central authority. The Buddha did not advocate laws or rules. Instead, he encouraged the pursuit of personal spiritual growth that would ultimately diminish selfhood and enhance the perception of the oneness of existence. That makes for a lot of options when it comes to details. So here's my plan. I want to tell you the story of how Siddhartha Gautama became a Buddha. I want to describe the process he identified and taught so that others could find enlightenment too. And I want us to engage with the concept of spiritual journey and enlightenment and apply it to our experiences and sense of self. This is where my question, "Are we there yet?" comes into play. That alone is probably more than 20 minutes can do justice to, so please be prepared to feel tantalized, a little teased, and definitely not satisfied. This is not a sermon in which anything is going to be wrapped up in a neat little package and handed over to be taken home. Frankly, I hope your brain is buzzing and you run home to meditate and search on Google. You could probably meditate with Google to find out more. So here's the story. Once upon a time, 2,500 years ago, a prince in northern India named Siddhartha Gautama was born. He was a member of the warrior caste. He lived his life entirely within the confines of the royal estate. His father, wanting him to be strong and unaffected by weakness, kept him severely secluded from the world at large. Servants who were sick or disfigured or old were eliminated from the royal household. Young Siddhartha never saw misery or suffering or death. He himself was physically strong and healthy and ignorant of the changes life wrought in the lives of many people. In fact, he was so strong that he determined to explore life outside the royal compound on his own. Siddhartha left the grounds on a series of several trips to discover what the world was like outside the gates. He was 29 when he embarked on this adventure of discovery. His name, Siddhartha, means he who achieves his aim. Upon wandering the countryside, Siddhartha discovered the realities of suffering. He observed sickness and poverty and oppression and injury and death. His compassion was awakened. He became determined to alleviate suffering and find a way to achieve enlightenment. He wandered with other ascetic monks, meditating and seeking the most helpful responses to the dilemma of life. Finally, exhausted and in despair, he announced that he was going to sit without moving from under what became known as a Bodhi tree. It took him 49 days of meditation to conquer his own mind and its illusions, and to achieve enlightenment. The Bodhi tree, meaning enlightenment, was a very large Ficus religiosa, a tree already known as sacred. These trees grow to have 100-foot canopy and live thousands of years. There were and are many of them. Following his experience of enlightenment, the Buddha, which means the enlightened one, devoted the rest of his life to meditating and teaching others what he had learned. He achieved the state of unconditional and lasting happiness through enlightenment. This state of mind is free from disturbing emotions and expresses itself through fearlessness, joy, and active compassion. For the rest of his life, Buddha taught anyone who asked how they could reach the same state. At the age of 80, he told his followers that he would soon gain the parinirvana, or the last deathless state, and give up his body. After he said that, he was given one final meal as an offering. Feeling violently ill, the Buddha either died of mesenteric infarction, a common condition of old age, and gave up his body, or many also believe that the Buddha died of food poisoning from the food offered to him at that last meal. The facts of his death are the elements of legend. Historians really make no clear case for one over the other in terms of accuracy. But in either event, he is understood to have achieved nirvana. Nirvana is the final state of being within Buddhist philosophy. It is defined as a transcendent state in which there is neither suffering, desire, nor sense of self, and the person is released from the effects of karma, which would be consequences in life, and released from the cycle of death and rebirth. This is the final goal of Buddhism. Now, here are the tools that the Buddha identified for his followers. There are two essential clusters. The first are known as the Four Noble Truths, and I'm sure many of you have heard these before and are somewhat familiar with them. There is the truth of suffering, meaning that all existence includes suffering. There is the truth of cause, meaning that our suffering is caused by ignorance, which then causes craving, illusion, and desire. Then there is the truth of extinction, meaning that there is, in nirvana, or enlightenment, an end to the suffering. And there is the truth of the path, or the way in which nirvana is achieved, namely through the Eightfold Noble Path. Now, here is the Eightfold Path. It consists of 8 right things: the right view, the right intention, the right speech, the right action, the right livelihood, the right effort, the right mindfulness, and the right concentration. Now, even at first glance, it's pretty obvious that getting these aspects of life right would make a big difference for anyone. And it's worth noting now that technically, Buddhism may not be a religion at all, even though we tend to lump it in that category a lot of the time. Religion is associated with deity and divinity and supernatural powers. The Oxford Dictionary defines religion as the belief in and/or worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods. Buddhism itself does not have these and is often described as a religious philosophy. Wikipedia, who, as we all know, is ground source zero for most things, Wikipedia describes it as an Indian religion or philosophical tradition. And insofar as a religion is what binds a group of people together in a common lifestyle and purpose, Buddhism does fit that definition. It's just a very different system than others that are based on deities. During his lifetime, the Buddha is said to have actively instructed his followers not to divinize him after his death, although many have, either formally or functionally, while others are absolutely clear that the Buddha is not a deity or a god of any kind. Basically, they agree to disagree. But regardless of what category of thought and belief we put Buddhism in, the insights of Gautama Buddha have survived centuries and helped innumerable people understand and construct their lives. I'm sure it's obvious that any one of either the Four Noble Truths or the Eight Paths could easily be its own sermon, or 2 or 10 or more. This is a comprehensive system of working to understand one's own motivation and psyche, and to fine-tune them till we are no longer driven by them. Now, the central symbol, other than the Buddha himself, of Buddhism is the 8-spoked wheel. Each spoke of the wheel represents one of the 8 paths people are called to walk while living. Wheels and circular motion are important in Buddhism. Often, though not always, reincarnation is a meaningful doctrine, and people understand themselves to go around the wheel of incarnation until being released into nirvana, where they are no longer subject to the suffering of life as we know it. So, how can UUs make meaningful sense of Buddhism, and particularly Bodhi Day? Are we there yet? Are we closing in on being enlightened? Let's think about that. The concept of life as a spiritual journey is prevalent among us as a helpful image. The tools of meditation and mindfulness in the service of self-knowledge are also firmly ensconced in the UU toolkit. Buddhist values of kindness, compassion, and nonviolence line up with our principles. There is a lot that UUs easily share with Buddhists. There are also some areas of separation. I'm going to share with you 2 lists. The first is of 8 positive things about being Buddhist or Buddhism in general. And the second is a list of the hazards of being Buddhist or its limitations. Now, if we had time, reviewing both lists from the perspective of the Buddha's teachings would be really helpful. Since we don't have the luxury of that foundation casually at hand, I invite you to use your 7 principles to review these things and see where you think they fall. And I need to tell you that these were listed out by a devout and academically trained Buddhist. So accept what resonates with you and your spiritual journey, reject what does not. If you have personal experience with Buddhism that is different from what this fellow has laid out, that is all well and fine and totally in keeping with things Buddhist. But here are the lists for us to think about. Positive factors about Buddhism. Buddhism develops ethics, mindfulness, dedication to donations and generosity, to support for teachings and practices for calm and insight meditation, and a liberating wisdom. Buddhism endorses widespread inquiry through knowledge, discourses, ancient texts, dialogue, diverse methods and environments, such as support for seekers and practitioners in monasteries and centers. It recognizes solitary practice in a monastery, cave, or forest following training in depths of mindfulness and meditation. Buddhism ends the rebirth or renewal of the ego of personality issues. It explores both relative and ultimate truth. Buddhism knows the importance of the divine, namely love, compassion, appreciative joy, and equanimity. Buddhism points to awakening and liberation through seeing the emptiness of self-existence, of I and my. Buddhism recognizes the power of temptation, the power to deceive, and karma, unsatisfactory or harmful influence of the past on unfolding present processes. And lastly, the essential teachings and practices, the Dharma of Buddhism, stand free from limitations of Western categories such as theism, atheism, agnosticism, dogmatism, philosophy, theology, psychology, and any kind of scientific view of materialism or matter. The Dharma stands alone. Now, our Buddhist source also identified some hazards of Buddhism. Buddhism is a patriarchal religion. There is barely any application of change to the status quo. Buddhism tends to accept or ignore repressive political and military regimes running a country. However, we now have Buddhist armies and Buddhist soldiers in many countries, including over 5,000 in our own US Army. I don't know if that's a positive or a negative for Buddhism. Buddhism has beliefs in miracles, the power of sacred objects, relics, oracles, prophecy, magical powers, fortune-telling, and other superstitions. My guess is that's not where most of us have encountered Buddhism in our Western culture, but in other countries those are often prominent features. Chanting, rituals, and identification with tradition can overshadow acts of wisdom and compassion. Buddhism has a general lack of application of the Dharma, of the stuff you're supposed to do, to social, political, and global issues. And he cites a lack of effective communication for creative action to resolve 21st century suffering due to the issues facing humanity, animals, and the environment. There is often an unquestioning devotion to lineages and Zen masters instead of listening, discernment, and wise application of the material. And the last hazard that is listed is worship of the Buddha rather than application of the Buddha Dharma. So a fascination with the person of the Buddha without incorporating his insights into a person's life. Our reaction to these probably says less about what kind of Buddhist we might be, and more about where we are on our own spiritual journey. So I invite you to take the task of clarifying your own journey to heart, knowing in true Buddhist style that you are the only one with responsibility for that. You are the only one with the knowledge that equips you for that task. And you are the only one with the authority to tell you what to do. And in the true spirit of Bodhi Day and exploring spiritual journey, Dana will share a poem that he was inspired to write to help us embrace our task, the task of our own spiritual enlightenment from another perspective.
Awakening. Bodhi, he awakens. Awakening, sun lights the horizon. Day begins with a crack, the bowl of night opening to the sun. I am there, seeing, feeling the air. Breath deepens, sound of birds. heart beats stronger, skin comes alive, head bursts and the heart leaps forth. Awareness that I am not the small form in the darkness. I am the sun, moon, sky, clouds, earth, and space, and the blade of grass in the wind. And eternity, and nothing. Enlightenment is not the snap of suddenly knowing. It is a process. It is a series of moments that remind us that we are forever alone and forever a part of all existence. Life is struggle and suffering, and from that we create. It is the viewer as participant in art. It comes in moments or eternities that we hold deep within. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Now I will confess I'm having trouble reading the clock and I forgot my watch today.
11:54.
So if we have 6 minutes, we could probably take 3 for questions, comments, whatever might have occurred to anyone. Does anyone want to volunteer a thought? Donna, here. Tell you what, Dana, why don't you? Do you want him at the mic? Yes, I'll take this round.
So I don't know if you've read the many writings of Thich Nhat Hanh, but he has plenty to say about the application of Buddhist principles to everyday life.
Thank you. And for what it's worth, our early morning RE class on Sundays at this point is reading Thich Nhat Hanh's Living Buddha, Living Christ. And anyone's welcome to join us at 9:45 on Sunday mornings in the conference room. Anyone else? I'm going to go with, y'all look like deer in the headlights. A little bit stunned. I have to tell you that in researching Bodhi Day and trying to put together something about Buddhism for us, the idea of trying to contain anything meaningful in 20 minutes was completely overwhelming. So I meant what I said when I said, I hope you go home feeling frustrated and have to look stuff up for yourselves. Because there is a lot of really intriguing and very helpful material online, and especially if this is new to you, I suggest you look it up and get a little bit more familiar, and if it's not, well then just continue on your journey. But what? Oh, Julia.
Well, this is more of a secular remark, but when I was in seminary, a group of monks who had escaped from oppression and migrated to this country came to stay for a week, and they made a mandala which was fabulous out of different colored sand and so forth. And they chanted in one room almost continuously. It was really a very special experience. And by the way, after they make the mandala, they sweep it all up and take it and pour it in the water somewhere. But they also, this group of monks, stole the key from the driver of their van and asked me to drive it and take him to Costco. So I had something like 7 monks in full robes chasing around. It was very funny. They wanted to send presents back home to their families.
Thank you for the humanizing of the life of a Buddhist monk. And it really is, if you think of it as a philosophy, it can coexist and be helpful with lots of other traditions. There's a title of a book that goes, wait a minute, without Buddha, I could not be a Christian. So, Kathy?
Julia reminded me, I actually have been able to go into a Buddhist temple and be there during the time they chant. Unfortunately, I can't remember which country I was in, but it was special invitation, not just to me, to our small group, to be allowed to do that. And I don't even remember, I guess our leader must have known somebody, that type of thing, but it was so emotional to me. I mean, the chanting, of course, is kind of rhythmic, I guess is the word, and there's not a lot of words. I mean, it's similar type of thing, but as you sat and listened and just let yourself get into it, it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. I can't believe I forgot it.
Very fast.
All right.
You gonna tell them about the stupa?
I can do that. I was thinking, I have a good friend who got married. I was kind of like the mother of the bride, but anyhow, her husband-to-be was Buddhist, and they in Nepal, got married in a Buddhist temple. And we all went, we sat on the floor. There was an exchange of the white scarf from the monk, and they had presents for the monk, and then there was chanting. And while there was chanting, we were given the tea, the buttered tea, which was not my favorite thing. And then we left, and the monks stayed there, and apparently all day long chanted for the bride and groom.
Wow.
It was a very simple, very lovely experience.
Okay, I'll wrap up by telling you about our local, if you consider Santa Fe local, which I sort of do, stupa. There is an amazing, stupa meaning shrine. I can't remember what road it's on. I'm really bad with directions. But I'm really sure if you Google stupa, S-T-U-P-A, in Santa Fe, it will pop up. And there are monks there who attend the shrine, and Laurel and I were actually lost. We took a wrong turn, because I'm really good at that, and ended up at this stupa, and were able to go in and spend time. It's just an amazing place with all kinds of symbols and different to Western eyes sites, etc. So I invite you, if you're headed in that direction and are curious and can allow a little bit of time, by all means Google it and see if you can find it, because the monk he actually came out, we were just walking around the outside of the building. That was enough of an interesting experience, and just volunteered to open it for us and brought us in, and we were there for quite some time. So it's well worth the experience, if that's something that's intriguing. Now, if you could stand as you're able, opening your hymnal to number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth.
I need to sit down.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of here and nigh, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the wonder of each hour, of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light. Source of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human care, sister, brother, parent, child, we all share, for all gentle thoughts and mild, source of all to thee we raise, this our hymn of grateful praise.
If you would join me now in the words for extinguishing our chalice, which I will have you know, even though there's no big visible flame, it's still a glowing ember on the tip. So Dana, if you would do the honors. May suffering not inhibit us as we continue the journey along the road our chalice light has shown us. May we embrace its truths in our hearts. Shalom and amen. May your spiritual journey bring meaning to your life. May your life bring meaning to others. Together, may we shape our world with love and compassion. Shalom.
Shalom.
And now if we could face each other across the center aisle, we will sing Go Now in Peace. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love serve.